Here is why you should consider detoxing from social media right now. Hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm a therapist on Long Island, New York that specializes in the treatment of eating disorders and body image issues. If you are interested in learning more about eating disorders, body image issues, or just general mental health, please click the subscribe button down below for more content on all of that. Okay, so social media. I am very passionate about this topic because I see it firsthand in my work that it really can impact people in such negative ways. I personally am a believer that social media is one of the greatest, not to be dramatic, evils of our time, really. It causes a lot of problems with a lot of people and a lot of disturbances in people's, life and their daily functioning. There's actually a lot of studies out there that suggest that when you leave social media, you actually are happier. And that is something I could personally attest to. I had personally got rid of all my social medias a few years ago, with the exception of Pinterest. I mean, if in interest of full transparency, I know that's technically considered a social media, but I don't really use it for that. There were many reasons that I chose the path that I did, but I could personally attest that I was able to be a lot more happy without it. I wasn't wasting as much time on it, and there's a lot of things that I think that I'm able to see in much more of a clearer, objective perspective on the impacts of social media in a lot of people's lives. And that's what I want to share a little bit more with you guys today. The first thing that is really detrimental about social media, and this is something I could not stand, there's always sad stories. And granted, I'm not saying that you should be ignorant or that, just totally not like closing your ears and closing your eyes to everything that's going on. But in the interest of what you are able to do, you can't help every, animal that they tell horrible stories about, or you can't help every single person that has this horrible situation going on in their life. However, when you're inundated with all this type of negativity and really essentially sad stories and traumatizing stories, you can actually be vicariously traumatized, which basically means like secondhand traumatized, and it is really detrimental for your overall mental health. And even if you didn't want to go so far as to say traumatized, it just is negative. And when you are put in the position that you're constantly seeing these things, and realistically we can't help everything or everyone, that really does start to make us feel helpless and negative all the time. I remember when I personally had social media, I could not stand like the horrible stories that you would see, and anyone that I know who has social media, I make it very clear that I don't want to hear about those, because I hear a lot, oh well, if I have to see it, you have to see it. But then I say, well, I chose not to see it, so I don't want to hear about it. And if that's something that you are considering doing, detoxing from social media, I would definitely consider sharing that with the people that you love who are still on social media. Okay, 2, comparison. We are constantly comparing ourselves, and this is something that is really, really big in our culture. And social media makes it so easy to compare ourselves. And now the problem with this is that sometimes social media can sometimes comparing can encourage you to try harder or push yourself forward. And there are some parts that are really positive that come from comparing ourselves, when it is something that is used to be motivating and positive. You can look at someone as a role model and say, I want to be, experiencing more of what that person is experiencing. That is where comparison is positive. So the way that it works on social media is this, most typically at least. Most people will put out on social media their very best, what they want you to see. And this is what we don't really realize, even though you may do it by yourself, or when you're posting on social media, but you're seeing what people want you to see. You're seeing what they're portraying as their best. And so it is a very unfair portrayal of their life. And that is something that is, everyone to each one's own. That's absolutely fine if that's what they want to do. But we need to understand that by being the viewers of that content. So what we normally do then for our own selves is we are our own worst critic oftentimes. So you are looking at your worst, or what you perceive to be your very worst, and comparing it against what everyone else wants you to see in their very, very best. How is that fair, and how is that going to get you anywhere positive? It is really easy to get into this slippery slope with social media. So if you decide that you want to continue on with social media, just making sure that you're putting that in perspective is really the key here. And continuing to remind yourself of this very concept, because that is oftentimes what happens. And if you decide that you want to leave social media, I think that that could be really helpful if you're finding yourself comparing yourself often to others. And the last one that I'm going to say for today, number 3, although there's so many more things I could say, and if you're interested in learning more or you want to hear more, definitely leave a comment down below and I will make more videos about social media and detoxing from social media. But number 3 that I want to say is the pressure to live according to other people's standards. Social media can really cause people to get off the path of their authentic life and living authentically, to live in lieu of what other people, or what we perceive to be what other people's standards for us are. For an example, I see many introverts in my life. I for myself am more of an introvert, and that really means that you get your energy from being more, alone or with a smaller group of people, as opposed to like going out to parties, and that's more of an extrovert where they get their energy from. So that's a difference there. But I see a lot of introverts in my life, in my practice as well. And I hear a lot of this comparing, saying that, I really truly just want to stay home and I'm actually pretty happy, chilling with my animals or my boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever it is, or my family. I just like, staying home and doing that. But I see everyone else going to a party on a Saturday night, and I feel that that's what I need to do, because otherwise what's wrong with me? Why am I the only person that's my age that isn't going and having a blast on Saturday night out at a party? So I'm not saying that turning off social media will completely annihilate all of these things that I had mentioned. Of course, there's going to be comparisons in real life. Of course, it's going to be pressure in real life by society to live life a certain way, or how society deems is the appropriate way for you to live. However, social media is something that we can't, if we're on it, it's really hard to disconnect from, and it's really hard to keep ourselves protected from that, from the persuasions and the influence that social media has on us. I understand that some people are totally not ready to just radically delete all their social media accounts. That's okay. If you are interested in trying to detox from social media, and it's really just more putting into perspective into your life, start off with a day. Start off with a couple hours if that's going to be more helpful for you, and just see how you feel. And I'm not trying to say that's going to be easy. Actually, pretty early on, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, because you probably don't even realize how often you're just reaching for your phone or whatever you use to check your social medias. It's going to be, something that you probably continue doing or trying to do. But just trying to take maybe a day break from it, or maybe even a week if you're really feeling motivated to do it. If you are feeling in any way that social media is doing any of the things that I talked about to you, consider it. I think it could be really helpful for you. So I challenge you to take a block of time to detox yourself from social media. Are you up for the challenge? Leave a comment down below, yes or no. If you like this video or found it helpful, please click the thumbs up button to like it. Please consider subscribing. I have a blog. I talk about all of this stuff. I will leave that link in the description below. Feel free to check it out. And I really appreciate you tuning in. I wish you social media freedom on your journey to finding your state of balance. Thank you so much for watching again, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.